Welcome to Mic'd Medicated. And we have a guest today.
We do. We have my aunt, Allison Kluger, who is definitely one of my big influences. I actually feel like you and Eva have very parallel energy.
That's a
You're
huge compliment
absolutely
for me. For me.
For me.
for both of you.
Jinx, jinx.
You're both female badasses who have your corporate life, professional life. Like you have all your ducks in a row, little bit chicken with your head cut off other ways, and also need me for fashion advice.
Oh,
So
thank God for you.
yeah,
Thank God for Caroline.
Thank God.
I mean, you should see Eva's old LinkedIn photo.
Hey.
Sorry, the one that we're about to put. Like, it's scary.
Seriously, when Caroline was 10, she was telling me what to wear.
Yeah.
That's how good she is and how bad
I love that. I
That's
love
okay.
your relationship. I have an aunt, and it was the same. I didn't live near her, but I imagine if she lived on the East Coast, we would have been tight like you both are. But we saw each other every year in
Well, Allie
Florida.
left. She used to live in New York City. And then she left when I was like 10 and moved to California. I was not very happy.
That must have, oh, you were only 10.
Yeah, I was really
1999 I
fucking
left.
pissed.
I was
So-
pissed too.
Yeah.
Wait, what brought you to the West Coast?
My husband got into Stanford Graduate School of Business, and it was only supposed to be 2 years. And so I never really warmed up to it because I'm like, I'm coming back. And then 9/11 happened, and he was here on 9/11 interviewing for a job. But what happened was he didn't get that job, but I had a really good job while he was in grad school. And he just got a great job there. And then we started to have kids. And once you make those roots, once we sold our apartment in New York to pay for IVF, we knew we weren't coming back.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, let's just get right into it. I feel like you're such a star. You've had this illustrious professional career, and you're of a generation where I feel like women sort of still recognize like how special it was that they could have a career, equal to a man, whereas the generation before had like fought really hard to make that happen. Whereas I'm of a generation where people were questioning, like, do I work? Do I stay home? Do I have kids? And it seems like really leaned into your career first and did not sort of focus on being a mom
Well, I think
until you
I
were
was
established.
the biggest birth control for her. So you did marry young, but you would come over, and my brother was psychotic, and you were like not having kids. Actually, I think anybody who's sexually promiscuous should spend a whole day with a toddler.
Well, I did come over and babysit a lot and hang out a lot. And it really scared the crap out of me. And I mean, I love them. And Caroline was my little baby for sure. But I always had a career, and I always knew I'd be a mom, but it wasn't on the top of my list. And when I graduated Penn, I started work at Good Morning America 3 days after I graduated. All my
Wow.
friends went to Europe. All my friends traveled, whatever they did. They didn't have jobs. I was so focused on working right away because I wanted to be able to support myself and start my career. And I never looked back. I never stopped working really for like 20 something years.
You
Until
did,
I had IVF.
yeah.
Yeah.
With kids, you did stop. That was a crazy.
That's
zone.
when I stopped. Yeah.
Wait, so you were at Good Morning America and then at The View.
Mhm.
And so, by the way, note, she was at The View when The View was good.
In 1990, what?
I was
When
one
did
of
you
the-
start at 94?
I think so. I was one of the original producers. So we were the ones who were shaping the
You
pilot.
started the show.
I was one of the original producers.
Barbara
yeah.
Walters, right?
My
Mhm.
hero and also my birthday buddy.
Oh, you guys share a birthday. When's your birthday?
9/25. September 25th.
She was also nominated for
Nice.
4 Emmys.
Are you a
just so know.
Virgo?
No, I'm a Libra.
Oh, you're
But
right
I
after
definitely
Virgo.
have Virgo rising
Okay.
because I'm pretty organized.
Wait, so besides Barbara Walters, who were the other people?
Star Jones,
Meredith Vieira.
Joy Behar.
And then,
Joy Behar is one of the originals?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
She was wonderful. Star Jones, Joy Behar, Debbie Matenopoulos.
Meredith Vieira.
Vieira. Meredith Vieira, who's amazing.
She went on to do the Today Show after.
And what was, because we often talk about like what shows we want to model ourselves after. And The View today, I'm sorry to say, seems very one-sided and just a lot of
Which is
crazy
ironic because
liberal
it's called The
women
View.
ranting. But was it meant to be political, or what was the vision initially?
No, it was about 5 women of different generations sharing their point of view. And we'd come in the morning and we would have a research person come in with hot topics. And the hot topics could be anything from politics to celebrities to health, um, anything really, and it was at whatever was in the news, and we'd pick random topics and make sure they were interesting and that the women wouldn't all have the same point of view.
So it was differentiated by generation.
Exactly. And that
I
was Barbara's
love that.
vision. That was Barbara Walters'
You know, when it
By
vision.
the
got
way, that's us right now because you're in your 30s, I'm in my 50s, and you just had a
Just-
big
just
birthday.
turned
90s. I'm in my 90s.
Yeah. I was thinking that when you're talking about with women, because I feel like I was in the generation where I saw different options. So I saw that if you put your career only first, then you don't always have a chance to have a personal life.
Mhm.
So I could make a choice. I never thought that women couldn't do everything. Just I knew it was not going to be. It was a marathon.
You
It
knew
wasn't
you
a
could have
sprint.
it all, but not
Not at the
all
same
at
time.
once.
Correct.
I thought the same thing. I really did. I think what's different is that my students, and I know I'm popping all over the place, but my students at
Okay,
Stanford,
we're an ADD podcast.
She's also now a Stanford Graduate School of Business lecturer. So
for
give
the-
it up for the badass on the couch
exactly.
with us.
Oh, yeah,
It's
baby.
crazy. So my husband went there. I was bitter. They have when your partner goes, you're called an SO.
Ugh, can you just say husband?
Yeah. But
What
you
does SO stand for?
significant other. But I always said I was an SOB. I was a son of a bitch because I hated being there. I was so mad. I didn't want to be there. I felt like I was taken out of New York. I had to drive. I had to support us. I had no friends. I did a startup. I did a .com. I was miserable.
Well, also the driving was really hard for you because you had a really, really bad accident.
I did.
Do you want to just tell us a little bit about that? Because that always inspired me. The story, and also you had a really bad skin graft on your leg because this is in 1988, I think, right?
It was in 1989.
Right,
Good memory.
1989. So they didn't have certain.
Oh yeah, it wasn't as pretty back then.
No, like literally looks like they and she was always confident about it.
But just chronologically, so you were in New York, did Good
Right.
Morning America, went to The View, and then you moved out for graduate school of business, or The View came after that?
No,
Oh, The View was first.
I did Good Morning America for 8 years. Then I went into home shopping,
Ooh.
where I was a host
Amazing.
and a producer, and then I ran a network for 2 years. And then The View came calling and said, "Will you come and see this pilot?" And then I did that for about 3.5 years before I moved.
And I mean, for somebody who's such a career woman, it does seem, will you tell me, did you pick up and move without a job because your husband was going to graduate school? Or
No,
was that a conversation
no,
about
that
what
was
to
really
do?
stressful for me. And ironically, he was there looking for a place for us to live, and he bumped into this woman, and she was starting a .com. And he talked about me, and she said, "I'd love to fly her out and meet her." And he flew
I love
me
how you referred to it as a .com.
a .com.
Yeah.
That's what they were. But it was like the .com phenomenon.
Yeah, this
I
was
remember that was probably like 2002,
It was
earlier than that.
earlier. It was 1999.
1999.
I know, and nobody back here in New York understood it. So I partnered with this woman. We came up with the name Sage Street, and it was a destination for women and health. We were going to do sex toys. We were doing relationships. It was going to have an e-tailing site. And we were just kind of starting from scratch. So I was her partner and the VP of content. And we would fly back here, and I would get famous people to write columns. I can't remember their names right now because I'm so old. But,
You're not old.
like Nancy Friday, who had a big.
Who the fuck is
Okay,
that?
you might be old. We have no idea who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nancy Friday wrote like one of the first books on sexual fantasies. Look her up.
Really?
And then go into a dark room and read it.
Nice. Ooh,
Anyway.
this just got dirty. Wait, we did. You
You
did.
have a lot of family members that deal in sex toys.
Oh well, my grandma, my aunt's mom,
my
is
God.
completely disgusting.
Let's not talk about
Yeah, I don't want to talk
that.
about that.
That's not pretty.
But
Okay, so
let's
we're
go
bopping
back
off-
to your.
go
Okay,
back.
so
I'm at Good Morning America when I have the car accident.
yeah, let's go back to
Okay.
that.
So I'm 23 years old. I had just been promoted to the field and series unit, and that was my dream job. And I got my first assignment on 4th of July weekend. And I remember calling my parents and saying, "I got my first assignment, and you won't believe where I'm going." And my dad's like, "Where? Iowa?" And I'm like, "Yes, Dubuque, Iowa." Like it was
Like that was the joke.
it was a joke, like, right? And
Right.
I'm like, because they were sending me to where the Field of Dreams, the movie with Kevin Costner was, which is
Mhm.
very old, before Yellowstone, but it was a big Americana movie.
Yes.
And my job was to go there and see the field and come up with remote shots for the 4th of July show. So my mom was like, "I don't know how I feel about you renting a car." I'd never rented a car. And I'm like, "I'm not worried about that, Mom. I'm worried about getting lost," because I grew up in a grid, New York
Well,
City.
also there was no ways. There was no,
And you probably weren't a very good driver because how often were you driving?
Hadn't really driven for a couple of years. So anyway, I I rented a car. I went to the site, met Don Larson, the farmer. Everything went great. Went back, called mom. I'm like, Mom, I did it. And then the next morning, I woke up at 3:30 in the morning because you have to get to the site at 4 a.m. when you have a 7 o'clock show. And it was so pitch black because it was rural Iowa. And I didn't realize how dark it would be. And I'm trying to remember how to get to this farm. And I turned off the air condition with my right hand because it was blasting on me. And my hand on the wheel just mimicked the movement, and my car careened off the road. I hit the accelerator instead of the brake because I was panicked and not experienced. And then my car hit something, and my car flipped twice.
Oh my God. And you
Thank
were
God you
alone
had
in
a
the car
seatbelt.
at 3:30 in the morning?
Yep.
No cell phones.
No cell phones, before cell phones existed, and in the middle of nowhere.
And you're 23, so it's not like you have life experience.
Yeah, it was very weird. And you've probably seen my video, maybe not, where I talk about this, but this car stopped, the left door was open, the driver's door was open, and I looked down, and everything above my left thigh, above the muscle, is severed open, sitting in my lap, hanging by like a little bit of flesh. And my first thought was, Mom is going to kill me. First thought. Seriously.
Yeah, that's such
So I have
yeah.
a really good sense of humor. I'm like a realist. And then I'm like, if I don't do something, I'm going to bleed to death. So I took off my seatbelt. That had saved me from going through the roof of the car.
Oh my God.
And my arm was broken in 4 places and dislocated. My ribs were broken. My pancreas was damaged from so being like tightly
Constricted.
strapped in. But I took off my shirt. Put my leg back on. I tied it up.
You made a tourniquet.
Made a tourniquet. And I remember thinking, thank God I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt. Like, you think of really stupid things.
Oh my God.
No, it's not stupid. I think
And
it's
were
just,
you in any pain, or the shock just
No, I
numbs you?
was like vibrating, like everything was tingling. And then I started praying to God. I'm like, God, I'm scared. God, can you please help me? And as I'm doing that, this wave of darkness started coming down like a curtain. And I came to, and I was crouching on the side of this car. And I said, Allison, if you pass out, you're going to die. Get up. So I got up and I walked back. That's the miracle. I found the road. I just went to the road and I said, I'm going to walk to a farm and get help. And I don't know how
Unbelievable.
long I was walking, but a guy named Randy in a red car came driving to go fishing. And I came out of nowhere and I stopped him. He was so scared of me. And I'm like, hi, I'm Allison. I'm from Good Morning America. I have a shoot. I haven't been shot. Like, really stupid things. And
No, it sounds like you said exactly what he needed to hear to
Yeah.
not be afraid of you.
with like a leg coming off in the middle of the night.
I was having bad hair. I was in a bra. I had no shirt on.
Oh, right. No shirt.
Right? I mean, I'm like a zombie. I was like a zombie.
Yeah, literally coming out of
zombie
like
white girl
the
from New York.
cornfields.
And he pushed the door
Malachi.
open.
I was children of the corn.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was a child of the corn. And I came around the car. He saw I was damaged. I got in, and he's like, I know a paramedic 5 towns away. So as he's driving was when all the pain started coming in. I guess the adrenaline stopped, and my shirt was soaked in blood, and it went down to my ankle. And I remember saying to him, I'm really sorry about the upholstery in your car.
Oh my God.
Because,
Thank
you have
God
to
for
be
this
concerned.
good Samaritan.
Right. And then
God, only you would say that.
I know.
I would be like, drive faster, you
But
asshole.
this is also your mom, because you're like, my mom would kill me if
Well,
I got blood
and,
in her
and I
car.
did think about that. I was wearing clean underwear too. I swear to God, when they were cutting my clothes off in the ER, I'm like, I know I have clean underwear on. Mom would be very happy. Because your mother always says, always wear clean underwear in case you get into an accident, or at least my mom did.
No.
So, okay, well, then I
I've
just
never
told
heard
you.
that before, but
Well,
I
thanks.
like
I'm
it.
glad I
she kinda
shared that
just,
with
like,
you.
I feel like she was like a Macbeth, like that was a self-fulfilling prophecy that you would get in an accident with clean underwear one day.
Maybe.
That's really weird.
Maybe she put that in my.
She put that in the universe.
It's really weird.
Okay.
Well, as your mom, did anybody else ever grow up with, you never know if you get in a car accident. You always want to have clean underwear.
I don't think she said car accident. I just said an accident. You want to have clean underwear.
Okay. Or maybe she met if you had a date with a really hot guy.
Really, no.
But that was good. All right. All right. So
Anyway, a paramedic called an ambulance from his house. They were putting braces on me. I'm like, you need to call Don Larson. I'm not going to be there. You need to call my mom. She's going to be really pissed off. And I gave the number. And then like, now you have to give me a painkiller. And they said, we're not giving you a painkiller, and because we don't know what's wrong with you. And I'm like, well, then I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I was really pissed off. But they rolled me into the ambulance. And I remember looking in this guy's face and saying, like, am I going to be okay? I had no idea what I had done to myself. And he goes, I hope so. And I remember thinking, that's the wrong answer. You should tell me I'm going to be okay.
yeah,
Right.
that is really.
But his wife washed my shirt. So,
But wait, why did he drive you back to his house and not to the nearest hospital?
he was not from there? He drove to a paramedic's home and they called the ambulance from there.
Oh,
Remember, they
got
didn't
it.
have cell phones.
This is Iowa. There's like not a hospital
Iowa,
for
no
a long
cell
time.
phones. But he had to go to someone's house to call the ambulance.
So this is kind of a tangent, but I was in a very horrific car accident when I was 9 years old,
Oh, no.
and I was with my best friend at the time, her little brother and her mother, and, she swerved the mother's Lorraine, like my second mother, swerved to avoid an oncoming truck. It was raining, and we were
Oh my
going around
God.
the lakes in, uh, oh my god, the town's escaping
Chappaqua.
me. No, it wasn't
Oh,
Chappaqua. Um, on our way to dance class, and then when she swerved back, we hit a car head on, and, it was a good Samaritan who sat with me. Like, I had no idea what was going on. I was completely out of it. I had broken my jaw and, like, my teeth had gone through my skin, and Lorraine had hit the steering wheel, and she had broken her nose and her ribs, and she was holding the skin up on her face, and I
oh my God.
remember her saying to the people who came over to the car, like, "Take care of Eva first, she's not my child." And Michelle's little brother was 6 at the time, and his head hit the roof, and so his head was split open. I mean, it was a
Oh,
big car
poor
accident.
thing.
My friend Michelle, by contrast, it was almost the most painful for her because she was unscathed, except she broke her thumb. And I remember she was just screaming like, "Eva, your teeth, you don't have any teeth." And then she was screaming at her mom. And anyway, the point is, like, while we were waiting for the ambulance to come to take us, it was a woman on the side of the road with me, like, rocking me. She came in the ambulance with me. I never got her name,
Maybe if
but
she's
she
listening to
she
this.
literally held my hand until my parents showed up at the hospital, and,
What an angel.
what an angel, and I wrote papers about her in school after. But I do think that, like, we don't realize the power of human kindness, and when somebody helps out, and, like, that person could have just easily, like, passed you and been like, "Not my problem, don't wanna deal, this person is topless and bleeding everywhere,"
Right.
and,
Yeah.
You saved your
you
life. You wouldn't be sitting here.
right,
It's so true.
and
I
it's
mean,
so
so
so true.
literally, it's like,
mind-boggling.
it's almost just
He
like a
invited me to his
reminder.
wedding.
He did?
He did. I didn't go, but
Aw.
I was very traumatized by it. So I didn't stay in touch, which is very unlike me.
Well,
Because you
it was
stay
a
in touch with
traumatic
every.
event.
No, she talks to every boyfriend she's ever had. So for her not to talk to the guy who saved your life, it's kind of crazy.
It is crazy. I wish I could go back now and thank him. I really do.
You
But
can.
I
Or
don't.
you don't know who
I
he
don't know
is.
his
You never got a last
Randy
name.
from
Never.
with a red
But he
car.
invited you to his wedding.
I don't. He did, and I just, there's some weird things. Well, I think I had a lot of trauma because I was embarrassed about the accident that I got into it on my first assignment. So I told them I swerved to avoid hitting an animal. I lied, and
Oh, I didn't know
Oh
that.
yeah,
Oh, that's juicy.
and I lived with this shame. I lived with this shame like an anvil on my chest because I was like, no one's going to trust me to do this. I've ruined my career. I've ruined my reputation. And that's why I've always been interested in reputation. And that's the
Wow,
first
I never
course
knew
that
this.
yeah, it's the
Wow.
origin story of why, because I really believe that,
I thought you were just kind of a people pleasing kiss ass. I'm just kidding.
no, that too, for sure.
Yeah, you are.
But I really think that you're not defined by one thing in your life. Like, we have to be human. It also taught me it's really important to be transparent. No one cared how I got into the accident. They were all thrilled I got out of it. They changed the rules at Good Morning America after nobody could travel alone. This was before cell phones.
How could they have let you travel alone? That's what I was thinking. I was like, they didn't want to get sued.
They didn't. They covered all the costs. They flew me back. I mean, they were fantastic. They really took really good care of me. I love
Did
that
your
job.
parents fly out to
They
Iowa?
did. They flew out, and then ABC flew us back on a private plane.
And how long were you in the hospital?
I was a week in Iowa. They sewed up the leg. It turned black. Everything had been severed. My arm was in a cast. And when they got me to Mount Sinai in New York, I was there for 5 weeks. They had to remove the portion of my leg. They had to skin graft it from my butt. I had a bone graft from my hip into my arm and plates and screws put on. And then
Oh
2
my
years of
God.
physical therapy.
And you
So-
still, I think you get migraines from that.
I did get migraines that year after was the first time. And I think my head got jolted when the car, I mean, it started after that.
So you hadn't even launched your career. And
No.
now, did they hold your job for you?
Absolutely. And they made sure I could go to therapy in the morning twice a week. They were great. They were great. I think they've all felt really bad. And I had a mentor, this amazing woman, Sonia Selby Wright, and she's not here anymore. And she was kind of the person I looked up to the most. She visited me in the hospital and said, I want you to start this project while you're here. Like she knew
You needed something to kind of keep going.
she knew I was flipped out. about everything. Like, how would this stall my career? I also didn't trust myself. I'd almost killed
Right.
myself. And she gave me an assignment to start working on. She was the most wonderful mentor. And because of her, I started to do theme weeks there, and I had a special niche at Good Morning America, and I loved her. She died of ovarian cancer years later, and she's someone who I still talk to every night. There are a few people I list. I kind of pray at night, and I pray to the people who I think are my guardian angels, which is my dad, um,
Beth,
Beth, my Beth, Sonia, Carl, my father-in-law, now my mother-in-law, um,
hopefully I'm never
and
on that list.
Grandma Ida.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they're the people who watched out for me.
I mean, it is.
Did you pray before the accident, or did that
No,
make you a believer?
wasn't I didn't really pray until my dad died.
Okay.
Well, no, you did pray when you
Well, I prayed then in the moment.
actually, that's like the common theme when you talk about like with the October 7th stuff
Right.
is
The
like,
trauma.
right, all the hostages or anybody who's come back alive has said the first thing they did is they said the Shema, which is like a prayer. Like people,
Yeah.
when you are stripped of every single thing, that's the only thing you can do.
Well, it kind of shows that you really do believe in God, because
Right, exactly.
it really was my first thought was, please, can you watch out for me? Can you please help me? My
Right.
mom, Caroline's grandma, says that she feels that her sister and her mother were watching out for me because they had previously passed
They had
that
just
year.
died.
Wow.
And I think so.
Also,
But
to
do
be
you
honest,
feel
you're
like
pretty smart. Like you
I
took,
was just very pragmatic. I was pragmatic. Like, you
that's a
can't walk with a leg.
huge that's like a huge event in your life at a very young age, starting your career. Do you feel like, yes, you don't believe somebody's defined by, one event, but do you feel like you were filled with more gratitude moving forward? Do you feel like you were able to take more risks? Or like, did it in any way affect you, do you think, in how you behaved and operated in the world after, personally or professionally?
Absolutely. I say this.
you took more risk, you're saying.
I just know I just feel gratitude for everything. Like, when things happen that are hard for me, I just try to get through it because I know that tomorrow something great could happen. So I had a lot of really hard days during that time, and like my body had scars all over it. I was dating an older man. I'm not going to talk about who it is, but he was somewhat well known. And I found out when I was in the hospital that he was cheating on me. So
Oh,
that was a terrible time. And my mom was really interesting because she's like, the reason you found out about this now is because if he had been with you when you convalesced, you would have never left him, and he was a very bad person for you. And
right. Maybe everything happens for a reason in a weird
Mm.
way.
well, grandma said to me, your grandma, my mom said, you were on the wrong road in life with this man, and you needed something to literally knock you off that road. And you got knocked off the road, and then you found out while you were in the hospital he was cheating on you, and you couldn't rely on him. And he made a lot of offers to go to therapy and marry me and all that. But ultimately, I couldn't trust him again. But it was what I needed. I needed to get out of this really unhealthy relationship. But back to your point,
Hopefully, there are less
No, but
traumatic
actually,
ways
if
to do
you
that, but
yeah,
yes.
if you do ignore the signs of the universe, I'm very big on this. Life will put you where you're supposed to be. Like you can never
Right.
ignore the
Like, either you
signs.
go with the flow, or you're saying life will force
I
it in
think
a
you
way
have to
that's
trust your
painful.
intuition. You have to know when something's
absolutely.
bad, and when you fight against it. You always said this to me too.
Always.
Like I remember with like a boyfriend that I was really still hung up on, and you would say like not supposed to happen. Like you're gonna, the rejection is like a protection in a way. Like you're supposed to be on this path. Like you will be. You said like you will be at 27, like marrying your person.
I
Like she
did.
knew my whole life plan, but you have to listen to your gut.
Well, what I said is, it shouldn't be that hard. It
Right
shouldn't
about
be
the
that hard. Like, you
relationship.
shouldn't be more unhappy than you're happy. And I'm not an unhappy person. I think Caroline can tell you. I'm just sometimes a Pollyanna, but I love my life. I've gone through 9 in vitros, lost my dad earlier than I wanted right before my wedding, had the car accident. I mean, I've had a lot of things go on, but I just feel so grateful. Like, I wouldn't change anything because it led me to this. And when I went through 9 in vitros, and everyone's like, oh my God, all those eggs you lost. Right? I'm like, yeah, but I have Logan and Evan. Like, those are the kids I was meant to have.
Yeah.
I would go through 3.5 years of in vitro just to have those 2 kids again.
And that was also a time when nobody was doing this or talking about it.
It's very early. It was very early. I was just about to go to surrogacy, and Joan London, who's a friend of mine, she gave me the people she used for surrogacy, and I had already done the whole report, and we were getting ready to meet some couples, and then my husband said, "Just do one more IVF," and that's the
The
IVF that I
ninth
got
was the
pregnant.
one.
The ninth was the one.
When you were coming up, though, because you're around 10 years older than me, were women like Pollyanna about you can wait and wait and it's all going to be fine? Like you didn't feel
In
like
terms
a
of waiting to have
pressure
a
or a
child.
clock to have a kid
My
earlier?
mom was her clock.
Well, I just feel like
Your
now
dad was.
Oh yeah, my
Yo,
dad would be like,
Al, when you gonna have a baby? Oh,
Yeah.
you're still struggling?
my
Oh,
dad.
what do you feel? Oh, your IVF didn't work? What do you do? Maybe you adopt somebody. That's
Oh
hilarious.
my God, I believe it. I believe
She
it.
spent
time with dad this summer.
First it was like, oh, do you have a boyfriend? And then it's like, Mark, when's Mark gonna marry you? And then it's like, when are you gonna have kids? Well, that IVF didn't work. Oh, you have a pimple on your head. Oh, you didn't get your roots done.
By the way,
But I love Larry.
and by the
do.
way,
I love him too.
He's like my biggest fan, so
I
he will
love
listen
him.
to this.
Oh my God, Larry, I love you.
We do love him, but
I do, 'cause
I
he-
actually remember my mom all the time be like, Allison, you don't know how long it's going to take you. You have to start trying. And you'd be like, stop it, Mom. Stop it, Jane.
Well, I
So
asked
true.
because my contemporaries, a lot of them chose to freeze their eggs in the
So glad you
event.
mentioned that.
They weren't going to meet the person, or
She was married.
life wasn't going. No, I know, but I'm
Right.
curious, like what your perception at the time was of all that, because it's just an evolving conversation. And now a
That's
friend
why I
of
had
mine
kids
just
early.
wrote. We may have Jamie Knopfman on our book. On our podcast, but she just wrote a book with my friend Rebecca, where she talks about how she's advising women, like, you should freeze your eggs. It gives you more flexibility.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because all my students who are around 27 and 28, 27 to 29 is the average age of grad students at Stanford Business School. They're all freezing their eggs. And I teach strategic communication as one of my courses. And there's always one assignment, which is doing a persuasive talk almost every year. And I've been teaching for 12, 13 years now. One female student will do her persuasive talk on freezing eggs. But what I'm interested in is just they want to relax. They want to focus on their career. A lot of them travel to Latin America because it's cheaper than
Right.
it is here. But it's not a big deal.
Okay, but this is my issue with it. I think we both discussed this. I kind of think it's a false sense of insurance at that age. Like, I think it's kind of like you don't want to be numb. You want to take anxiety meds, but you don't want to be numb to the world. You need a little anxiety to motivate you. So if you don't have any of that, like motivation biologically, I feel like you're not as motivated to even find your spouse. And I could be wrong. I'm talking about like, I don't know. I feel like that was I always wanted to have kids and I wanted to have a partner or a husband. And
I found you were very unusual. Eva, you'll like Jess. She, from a very young age, loved kids. She loved to babysit. She loved her doll. She loved her friends. And she's the only one I really like to babysit. Otherwise, every kid I could just leave. Honestly, I'm a mean person. But
no, you're not.
well, I love the people I love.
No, I was like you. I had
no interest
My
in
husband
dolls.
was like Caroline, though, whenever we were around little kids, he'd play with them. They loved
My
him. And I
husband's like that
felt
too.
inadequate.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm going to be a really bad mom because
I'm
I
like, let
don't
me
have
paint
patience for
something.
this.
Let me paint something or read a Nancy Drew. I don't really want to play.
But my daughter, interestingly, is just like Caroline. She actually is 12 and she wants a baby. And I keep being like, you have to go through a lot
That's a
of
little
steps
early.
first.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a go-getter. So it's like, do not get pregnant.
Sometimes I think people are like, Jane, your mom really, really wanted kids too. Like
I think you can have a
I did.
maternal.
I wanted a husband. I wanted kids. I wanted a white picket fence. I didn't know or think I was going to be a career woman. I fell into it. It was not something I planned, but top of my brain was always get married, have children. And I guess similar to what you were saying earlier, I wonder, I mean, you obviously did it on a timeline that you wanted and you were comfortable with the IVF process, I assume, because you're encouraging women now to freeze eggs. But to me, I would have started earlier if I could have. You just can't have it all at the same time. And I got married later. We tried and we ended up getting pregnant. And I did Clomid. I didn't need to do IVF. But I just sort of feel like now at, my children's nursery school, there were people in their 60s, not often women, but like, I guess the biological clock also means you're young and youthful to take care of your
It's
kids.
hard being an older parent for a lot of reasons.
Or
It's
maybe you'll
hard.
disagree. I don't know.
I do. I mean, I was a parent at 40 and 41.
And it was hard.
Which
back to
actually
back.
isn't that old in New York City.
Not anymore.
It
But
was then.
But then it was definitely. I mean, I was
Yeah.
a geriatric pregnancy, as they called
Actually,
it.
over 35, you're geriatric.
I know. It's mean. They
It's
always
so
label
mean.
us.
Wait,
right?
so your kids are how far apart?
They're 15 months apart.
And 2 boys.
2 boys, and Evan was natural. Logan was IVF. And then
The pressure's off and you
I
get
had
pregnant
a pituitary
natural.
tumor that was undiagnosed. which is a little brain tumor, benign. And what it's called is a prolactinoma. And it means your prolactin level is high. And what that means is your body thinks it's breastfeeding.
So it thinks you're
Huh.
pregnant.
Thinks you're pregnant. So
So you
I could
can't get
never, but I
Wow.
had really juicy eggs, I was told. Like I was a great egg producer. Woohoo. But my doctor in California was like, I just don't know why you can't hold this pregnancy. And then
My
Caroline's
mom.
mom, Jane, my sister, said, you come home and you see this doctor, Sammy Davis, not Sammy Davis
I was
Jr.
about to
Right. No, he was
Sam-
like the pioneer of IVFs. This was like on a
he
time when no one
he
was
was a
doing it.
reproductive endocrinologist and Sherlock Holmes. And he took 300 pages of my notes over the last 8
wow.
IVFs, and he marked it up. And we came in to see him and goes, there are 3 possibilities why you're not getting pregnant. One is you have a prolactinoma. You have a little bit of elevation on your prolactin. 2, you could have some sort of your husband could have some sort of
Like slow swarm.
infection. No, it was like put him on antibiotics. He could have some sort of infection.
Right. They also never blame men, which is kind of annoying. Can be men.
And then the other was my lining. He said it could be something with your lining. And not kidding, in that day, he took a biopsy of my lining and sent me for an MRI, which is very different from California, which would take months and months. And then in one day, he said, yeah, you have a prolactinoma. I'm going to give you these meds. It's going to shrink it. And you're going to do 1 artificial insemination. And then you're going to do an IVF if that doesn't work. And you'll be pregnant in 3 months. And this is after almost 3 years. A little more. And
Wow.
it was exactly 3 months. And I was pregnant on my last in vitro.
Wow.
That's amazing. Sometimes my mom is always right. Not always.
I mean, it was amazing and it was fabulous. And I had so many failures when you get that call that you're not pregnant. You know, I never lost hope. And my husband went to see the doctor and they're like, it's really like gambling. It's like roulette. Like the more times you do it, the more chance it'll happen. He just didn't want to give up and do surrogacy. But anyway, I had Logan, and at 6 months, I was just getting back into my dress, ready to have a glass of wine, feeling like I wasn't going to kill Logan. And it was Mark's 40th birthday, and we were going down to see his roommate in Southern California. And I was just bitchy, and I was like, this taxi doesn't have a car seat for Logan, right? And we got there, and then I was peeing a lot, and he's like, you're pregnant, and I'm like, I'm not pregnant. I said, I'm probably PMSing. And I was pregnant with Evan.
Oh, that was a rough time.
5 weeks pregnant
Wow.
when Logan was 6 months. And I was just like, oh.
But don't they say that happens a lot? Like
Yeah.
it
but
takes
that
a
was
while, you
fucking
struggle
stressful.
to get pregnant, but then when the pressure's off, all of a sudden you get pregnant.
But in
Absolutely.
your case, also, you really probably just had that prolactin issue.
I did.
So that's why you couldn't get pregnant.
Did you intend to stop working and raise your kids because you like knew how precious it was that you had them? Or
No
how
fucking
did that
way.
happen?
No, I didn't think that far, Eva. It's so funny. I was on bed rest for half of my pregnancy with Logan because it was a really difficult pregnancy. Then I had him. And then before I knew it, I was pregnant again. So the thought of even going back to work wasn't even a possibility for me. We had no family out in California. Mark was starting up another company. We couldn't even really afford babysitters. I had one babysitter twice a week, Sabrina, who's my angel, for 3 hours. So I had 6 hours of help a
Wow.
week, and then it was all on me. And I thought I was going to have a nervous breakdown. And I ran a network with 100 people. It was easier than these 2 kids.
See that I'm sure that makes so many women who aren't working in the workplace feel so validated.
I hope so.
I
Hardest job of my
remember
life.
coming to visit you.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It was fucking hell. I mean,
It was birth control for you. Now it's like you're paying it forward.
it was like I definitely love kids, and I was always very warm with them. And
Oh yeah.
but I need help when I do this because she was cooking, cleaning, and then they were crazy. They were 18 months, 15 months apart. Boys.
Caroline's a really good outsourcer. I'm sure you've figured that out.
I
One
love
was
her.
running in the parking lot. The other one, and I'm like,
Wait,
oh my
but
God.
that's weird because Caroline says sometimes we're similar, and I really felt compelled to do it all myself. Like I didn't want a baby nurse. I
Oh,
didn't
God, no.
want sitters.
You're
were you?
insane.
But I thought you were similar. I thought you said
No,
you did
she
it without
couldn't.
help.
She
you
couldn't
just
afford
couldn't
it.
afford the
it.
help. Oh,
I
okay.
had my grandma. Oh my God. Thank God. She gave us a baby nurse as our present, both pregnancies, which was amazing for me. No, and she sent money for babysitting. I mean, was one income.
Wow.
And my husband was doing a startup, right? And so we really were on a big budget. And
Those were hard times, man.
What I tell
Thank God for
anybody-
Thomas the Train.
Thank God for Thomas the Train.
Remember we tell the story we used to hide?
Okay. So,
Wait, your boys must be similar to my boys because my oldest is 19 and he loved Thomas the
oh,
Train.
yeah, exactly. One's about to turn 19 in January and the other just
Oh,
turned 20.
so
So,
very
yeah,
similar.
Thomas
That
Train.
was everything.
So getting them down to sleep, like
That was hell.
it was hell. And Mark would come home from work and he would like be a kid. Like he loved being a parent and he would chase them around. Like I had just gotten them bathed and fed, and then he'd like chase them around and I'd want to shoot myself, honestly.
Or him.
Or him.
Right.
But
No, because I remember having a friend, she didn't work. She was home with the kids. Her husband was a banker and it was maddening because she'd do everything
Yeah,
all
they
day
hyped him up.
long. And then he'd come home and the kids would only want him.
Well, it's like lettuce versus ice cream. You don't want fucking lettuce you eat every day.
it's totally, he was ice cream. I was like wilted lettuce. It was horrible. But you know, he's such a good father.
I like lettuce.
Yeah, she does eat a whole thing of wilted lettuce.
Oh, just kidding.
Okay.
I'm making you feel good. Yes.
So anyway, so one night, I don't know, Mark must have been asleep, or I was reading, like getting some peace on the couch, reading a book. And I hear like Logan turn the door. And we didn't have a big apartment. And I hear him and I just turn off the light and I put a blanket over me. I'm not kidding. And I laid down on the couch and I hid under this blanket. And I was terrified that this 2-year-old
Yeah.
would come and find me, because that would mean that it would take me another hour to get him
Yeah.
back to sleep. So I hear these tiptoes. He's like, Mom. And I'm like,
Yeah,
right? Like, and finally, after like 5 minutes, I hear him go back in the room. And I was like, that's how desperate I was.
Yeah.
We've all had that.
Caroline, we were talking today about block blast.
Oh no. So I actually have this guilt where, I love being present. It was actually easier for me when they were in that 0 to 2-year-old mode where he was like, here's a blue block, and teaching them. Now it's like, I don't have the imagination of a 5-year-old. I don't really want to sit on the floor and make a magnetile fucking jungle box. You know what I mean? So I'm like, here, watch a movie. So anyway, I felt guilty yesterday that I stopped playing with B and I come in and she's watching on YouTube marathoners without legs. Okay. Like literal chest just running. And then, and I'm like, she's like, what are you doing, Mom? And I'm like, I'm reading a book and I have my phone. I'm playing Block Blast, which is like Tetris in my book because I want to seem like I'm more intellectual. And that was my dog just opened the room. Because I just can't fucking parent all the time. Like I feel like in order to parent, I've got to be, sorry, my dog just came in.
It's okay. You can
I
stay,
feel
Heidi.
like I have to be playing. I don't want to do that.
I don't think anyone should ever be forced to do something all of the time. I think this is how I feel for women. If you want to be a stay-at-home mom, God bless you. I think it's wonderful. If you want to work part-time, I think that's great. If you want to work all the time and, do the best you can on the weekends, no one should tell a woman what they should be doing. And also, I think the hardest thing about being a parent, and I'm sure you felt it, and probably Caroline, is like this loss of spontaneity and freedom. Like the first thought in your mind is the kids, the last thought is the kids. And no matter how helpful your husband is, and I had a very hands-on husband, it still comes
Men
to
are
me.
morons.
It comes to me to organize everything.
I know.
Wait, this is a very funny story. I have to tell you. So the first time I ever let Mark alone with Logan, I guess Logan was maybe 3 months, maybe 2 months. I don't know. I was going to a baby shower, 3 months. And I had this amazing diaper bag. Like it had everything in it, like the kitchen sink. It was beautiful. Outfits and milk and everything you could possibly need. And it's in the corner in this beautiful area. And I'm like, there's a diaper bag. There's a diaper bag. So if you take Logan out, there's the diaper bag. Everything's in it that you possibly need. He's like, don't worry. I see it. There it is. And I go out to my friend's baby shower and I come back about 2 hours later and he's not home. But guess what's in the corner? The diaper bag's in the corner.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, the fuck? Right?
Yeah.
And
you
so
fucking spent 2 hours making that.
that diaper bag had everything. He comes back like an hour or two later. Logan's on his arm. They look worse for the wear. They look like they've been through it. And I'm like, honey, what happened with the diaper bag? And he's like, oh, yeah, I forgot it. He goes, but, I went to 7-Eleven and I got a big thing of diapers and some wipes and I changed them in the back of the car. And I'm like, great, right? And I talked to my pediatrician who was a dear friend. She's like, Allison, if you have a husband who's willing to take your child out, doesn't matter about the fucking diaper bag.
Totally.
Like if he has to go buy 20 diapers in a pack and
Because then they'll never do it again.
Exactly. She's like, let him be him. That diaper bag's for you. was a really big lesson for
By
me.
the way, I was thinking that while you were telling the story because
It
you
would be the
need to
opposite
give
for you.
people positive reinforcement.
Yes.
Men are like
If you tell
dogs.
men they can't do anything right, they're just going to stop doing it.
I remember Jeremy once made our bed, and I was like, "What? Did Stevie Wonder do this? This is fucking terrible."
That's kind.
Where did you learn how to make this? You clearly didn't go to, you weren't in the military, but and he never made the bed again.
Oh,
It's okay. I do a better job.
I know, but you still have to make it.
But you know what? Also, I was thinking a lot because we are called Mic'd Medicated, and one of the people who really inspired me to get on SSRIs, besides my husband threatening me, if I didn't go on it, he was gonna fucking kill me. Was you?
Yeah.
Because you basically, after having like 7 or 10 years of hellish raising two not easy boys, like you have a boy, like
I was
they're
year
rough.
6.
I have 2 boys.
2 boys. It's rough having 2 of them, no help, crazy. You want to literally pull your brains out. And then to go back into the career world, which is pretty remarkable to literally take 7 years of like nothing, no LinkedIn moments.
I did start a media training company.
Oh, I forgot. Okay.
But I really didn't work that often. But I had to do something that made me seem legit.
But you didn't have time.
No. I mean, I could count maybe 5 times on my hands where I actually worked.
The confidence to put yourself back out there. And even now, it's hard to like on ramp after taking time home. How did you do that? Because I mean,
I think it was, you told me it was a lot of your anxiety medicine helped you a little bit.
That was the first step. So I'm not going to forget your question, Eva, but for what Caroline said is I remember I came home and I think Evan was 5 and Logan was a little over 6. And everyone in my family, like, you seem really unhappy and depressed, which was true, especially Adam, my twin brother. And
oh, I didn't even know you're a twin. You're the
Yeah.
second twin we've interviewed. I love that.
I love being a twin. Anyway, they were just, and Adam's like, you need to go on something. Jane was like it. Everybody was like, and I'm like, I've always
My
had
family's big medicine pushers.
we're big. We like run CVS.
Yeah.
Like I go to CVS and I'm like something for Kluger and Shaw and Shaw and Shaw.
Yeah.
Everybody in my family's on something now. But I went to a therapist and I talked to her and she's like, why don't you want to go on meds? It's like, I don't have anything against meds, but I know myself. I know how I'm wired. And I wake up with this like pressure on my chest and then I start doing stuff and I feel better. And she's like, do you like waking up like that? And I said, not really, but that's who I am. And then Adam, my twin, said something that really changed it. He said, Allison, when you go on meds, it's like you've been walking around with a pebble in your shoe and all of a sudden the pebble is gone. He's like, you can walk with the pebble in your shoe. It's uncomfortable. But once the pebble's gone, you're like, how the hell did I walk around with that pebble in my shoe? And so I tried Celexa and it wasn't like this magic pill, but it was like all of a sudden, if the dishes weren't clean in the sink, I'm okay. If the bed wasn't made perfectly, like Caroline says, it was okay. But I'll tell you the big reason I did it is Evan was very difficult for me, my younger kid. Logan was really easy. Evan's a typical second child, adventurous, oppositional, everything. And there was one night he frustrated me so much that I shook him. Like not like he wasn't a baby shake. It was like 5 years old. And I kind of pushed him on the bed. And he said
Child
to me,
services.
I know.
It's okay. He's in college now.
He's okay. He loves me so much now. Now we're really close, but that was a bad year. And he said, Mom, you don't love me. And I said, Evan, I love you so much. I just don't like you right now. And
Yeah.
I love it. It's the honesty.
Right? I said, I just don't like you right now. And I don't like how you're behaving. And I'm sorry I pushed you, but I need to, because I couldn't walk away because he'd be like, you need to tickle my back. You need to do this. You need to do that. Like it was never enough. Now that I know this kid, he is like an empath. He is so loving and warm and compassionate. He didn't want to be a bad kid. Like I didn't know enough in those days. So that's what
You were
made
just
me
trying
go
to
on meds.
survive.
I really was. So that's why I went on meds, because I talked to the therapist and I said, I am worried that Evan is going to remember me as an angry mom. And so when I went on it, all of a sudden I had a lot more patience.
I mean, I would have been really angry with no help and 2 kids like that. So I don't.
No,
really blame
I'm a
you.
lot more patient now, and I have done
she's
the
on meds
repair
too.
with my oldest because I think, first of all, one of my friends said to me, which I love, is your first child's like your first pancake. And when you make pancakes, like the first.
Yeah, well, actually,
but you don't throw it away.
All my pancakes suck. So I hope my kids are not like my pancakes. I still can't make a pancake.
They're hard.
They're
hard.
so hard. Yeah, and I completely burned
Unless you're my
myself trying to
husband,
make
who's
a
a foodie.
pancake.
No, but
I've done repair, which Dan Siegel famously says, like, repairing and apologizing is as good as, not having done it in the first place. So I feel better and I'm very close with my oldest. But I had those moments where I was just not proud of myself because I was being driven by my anxiety and
Like
it had
lack of
nothing to
control.
do with him. I just
Eva, Mark says this to me all the time, my husband. He's like, no one teaches you how to be a parent. Like, it's like they throw you in, all of a sudden
It's
you're
also a 24/7 job.
It is. It's exhausting. You've lost your freedom. There's hormones for women. And there was a lot of my self-esteem came from working and being successful and doing work that I loved and challenged me. And now I'm a stay-at-home mom with two
yes.
boys, with no family. And it was really hard for me. But I just
That would have been hard for anybody.
I think
It
it
was
would have been
hard.
hard for
Yeah.
anybody. I think the reason my friends really like me and love me is because I never sugarcoated it. I would tell them I'm struggling. And I remember once just taking them to nursery school and I sat on the side of the road because they were both wild. And I just sat there like I was an animal that was just hit by a car. What did they call that?
Like
Road
roadkill?
I was like roadkill. I was like roadkill while
Ugh.
my kids
I don't know if
danced.
you want to use that after your car
know,
accident story.
right. But they were like dancing around me
Uh,
and I was just sitting on the side of the road crying because I couldn't get them to my car.
Yeah.
There were times they were fighting in the back and I would pull over because obviously and I would pull out a book and I'd sit in my front seat and read until they calmed down.
That's insane. By the way,
Right.
reading is she's an incredible way of like reading is her
That's my
her
bliss.
blanket.
Wait, but
It's her
that's
like
your
baby
mama
blanket.
too.
Yeah, they
Yes.
both because
We send
they
books
grew
to
up in
each
a little
other.
trauma.
We did everything to tune out real life and family.
That's so
So-
funny. I've become such a prolific reader. I wonder if it's for the same reason. I didn't read as a kid though.
I don't know, but I know Caroline
I
became
like to
a
read
reader
now.
when she became a parent. I was shocked.
Yeah, I never
Now
liked
she
to read
always
when I was
has
a
a
kid.
book. I don't know if like
Oh
we
yeah,
just,
we both found
I think
it
you
late in
rubbed up.
life.
Yeah, because I couldn't focus. It was too much. Now
also you had so many other fun things to do. Like think about it. Like you
Now
now it's
reading
fun.
is pleasure.
Reading is fun.
reading is like you can do something alone without thinking of anyone else. You get into someone else's story.
It's just also like there's
That's
so
what
much
I
stimuli.
love. That's what
Yeah.
I love. So wait, you just had a big birthday. You look amazing. You don't look a day over 45.
Thank you.
That's all the sunscreen she taught me early.
I did.
Actually,
I
always
taught
wear
her, always wear
sunscreen. That's why.
I always wear sunscreen.
See, you both look like
But
ET
not when I was
enough.
little.
I mean, how good is
I
my
had
Botox?
I had the tin foil. I had the Band of Soleil
Oh,
gel. Like when I was a
wow.
kid, I was
You never
not
did
good.
sun?
I use baby oil sometimes.
Yeah, always.
But around 19, grandma told me.
Yeah.
And I wore this gross stuff called Pre-Sun on my face.
Well, my
Yeah.
grandma, your mom, and my mom are both very neurotic about certain things and sort of
Yeah.
take the fun out of sun. They
This-
took the fun out of the
They
sun.
took the fun out of sun.
Yeah, because I
that.
loved getting tan.
Who doesn't?
It
and
was
feels
so nice. I
good.
mean, you're not
See,
gonna
I
like it
didn't
when you're
like
my
it.
age.
Nobody told me not to, but
But you look
I
great. Your skin's
instinctively. But I
gorgeous.
did what you did, probably starting around maybe 22
Yeah.
after college.
And then I just did it every day before I put makeup on. I didn't wear a lot of makeup, but that would be what I'd put on. And I think it really helped. I know this sounds really crazy too. I'm a really happy person. Like I'm not a negative person.
Yes.
And I swear, I think I smile a lot. I'm happy. I'm not stressed that way. I get anxious about being on time. I get
You are.
anxious
I know
about
you were
failing.
freaking out about coming here like late.
How many times did I call
I was like,
you?
you're fine.
I know. I hate being late.
But Caroline and I have been talking about just the passing of time, that saying the days are long, the years are short. What is your sage advice? We're basically, talking to women who are like the three of us. Like
Yeah.
they want to have it all and do it all. They're, struggling through just sort of the denseness of parenting and having a marriage and staying
You should share your
fit
failures.
and
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think that transparency, I think what you two are doing is so amazing because you really demystify and talk about all these things with such a good sense of humor. And I found that really served me well. I never, how you meet people and they don't want to share with you that they're struggling or they don't talk poorly about their spouse and complain about
Yeah, I don't
them.
trust those bitches.
I don't trust that either. I mean, if they're friends with you, you got to complain every once in a while because it's a bonding thing. It doesn't mean you don't love your husband.
It's vulnerability. That's how we bond.
Vulnerability is so important in everything, in leadership and in marketing and personal branding, everything these days, because nobody likes a perfect person. And by the way, perfect isn't perfect. Perfect is neutral. That's what I think. You're just kind of a robot.
Vanilla.
And or you're interchangeable. I like people who have quirks. I like people who struggle, who have interesting stories to tell. And I think one of the things I always realize is I feel very complicated in my head. Caroline mentioned earlier, I'm like a chicken without a head. And I do feel like that often.
Because you're smart.
Yeah, because my brain works fast and I'm juggling a lot. But I always give a lot of people the same empathy. Like, if I'm this complicated, at least I think I am,
Yeah.
I bet you they're just as complicated. And so when people are misbehaving or acting
It's very
unkind,
frustrating when you want her to not be on your side.
yeah,
of a fight.
I'm a Libra, so I look at both sides. But
She's like, if you put those shoes on, I'm like, can you shut the fuck up and just be on my side for a second?
it's
You're like,
true.
me scared of you.
Me scared. It's true. My husband's like, can't you just stick up for me and not explain this other person's feelings? And I'm like, okay, they suck. But I really do think everybody goes to their shit, and we have to give grace to people.
Yes, there's
That's
a
how I
great
feel.
quote. Everyone's fighting a battle. Like, be kind because everyone's fighting a battle you don't know about. Or there's some
I know what you're saying. Because you don't know until you walk a mile in someone's shoes. But, I think what you were saying about not being perfect, which is neutral and vanilla, we have learned, and somebody kind of just told us recently that what's great about you guys is you repel people as quickly as you attract them.
I love it.
And I was
love
like,
it.
that is really true because
Yeah.
we are so opinionated and not vanilla and not neutral that there are people who are going to hate us.
Well, if
but
you're
also
going to do
love us.
this, you have to be who you are and you have to
Right.
be honest because people could smell inauthenticity a mile away. And there's no point to do it unless you're going to be
right.
committed to this. And yeah, by the way, you're always going to have lovers and haters.
Hate is going to hate.
Yep. I mean, you can sing it, baby. But
it's funny.
But Grandma told me that when we were younger. She'd say to
Oh.
me, some people are going to love you, some people are going to hate you, and some people don't care. And that means you're doing just fine. And I'm definitely a people pleaser, but as I've gotten older, and I'll go to your point, Eva, I don't really care about making people like me. Like, I know who I am and I know I'm a good person.
Do you care a little bit still? A little bit.
Sometimes, yeah, but not quite as bad because I know how to work with people. Like it's second nature. And I'm interested in people, and
you guys are the opposite in that sense. You put
I was
going to
say for me, it's come with age. I really do. Oh, I might be making a different point than what you're going to say.
Yeah,
I actually feel like I've spent my whole life trying to please everyone and make everyone like me because I have this deep longing to be loved and liked. And so if somebody's mad at me or if at work I thought I offended somebody, I can't let it go. I always want to connect. And my husband will say to me, like, who gives a shit? Like, spend time with people who like you.
Yeah.
And whereas if I think somebody doesn't like me, it bothers me, it upsets me. And actually age has started to cure me of that. I think I was saying to Caroline this morning
well,
that
you're 10 years behind
by the time
so.
you're 50, you sort of like get comfortable. For me, it was like this accelerated journey from 45 to 50 where you start to get comfortable, know who you are. And then you're sort of like, life is short and I'm going to be who I am and I'm going to spend time with people who make me
what am I
going to
be like when I'm 50?
I know. I said
don't
Caroline already acts like she's 50.
Was I like that as a kid? No, I was very stressed as a child. I'm much more fun and young.
Yeah, you were more stressed as a child. You were wonderful.
No, but I was a grown up when I was a kid.
You were a wise child. We had very deep thoughts. I mean, very deep conversations. I remember I would lie on that bed with her and we'd talk about friends ad nauseum.
I'm wearing my Central Perk.
Central Perk. But I would look at her, I swear, and I'd think, I love her so much. Like, I wonder what she's going to be like as a teenager and then
modeled
in her 20s
for
and
me.
Modeled. Yeah, we have always had this incrediable bond. And so I could describe Caroline like it's like breathing. Like I have no
love you.
Love you too. I have no there's no dysfunction. There's no
we can just be ourselves.
Yeah. Like I just love her like breathing.
Oh, I
and
love
and we
that
know
so
we're not
much.
gonna I know hold it against me. We don't have any of that. And
and we can disagree on certain things, but Caroline always listens to me and I listen to her. And we still might disagree. And I think that's also how I treat people. Like I just feel like
you listen. You always listen. And not in the sense of not even you don't necessarily agree, but you listen. And that's what's important. Like you let me talk about my feelings and vent. I love my family. They're amazing, but there's a lot of talkers in my family.
Yeah.
Not as many listeners, including myself. I'm not a great listener, which is why I have a podcast. Because even I like to talk.
You found it.
I finally did, but I think, you were always there for me to listen. You listened to me and gave me sage advice. And I think, yes, I learned how to be myself. I learned you always try to force me to be more empathetic. I try. It's hard. I actually am a very kind person if you are kind to me. Like I feel like no, like if
I
you're
think you're so kind. I think you're selling yourself
She,
short.
No,
she's
I'm
so
a real,
generous
actually
and
a really
kind,
good.
but you have a very funny sense of humor too.
I
That's
know it
part of
pisses
it. Like,
people off on the internet,
you know,
man.
I always joke. Well, yeah, I always
For
joke like I
fuck's-
have my bubble over my head, Eva, and I say the things like my head's like really thinking the mean thoughts, but then I know enough that that's not going to get me what I need. It's going to make the situation worse. It's going to make it worse, and it's not going to in the end do me any good. Like, because I'll be in a shame
And
spiral
I'll
if I'm
just
mean to
say it.
someone. And then Caroline was more like, "Fuck that! I'm going to say it."
Unfiltered, baby.
I am.
Right?
But yeah, I mean, look, honestly, in the age of the internet, I really do have a thick skin. We both do. Because
You have
people
to. I would
are,
never do what you're doing.
I
Oh,
know.
really?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm out there enough already. By the way, I get evaluated by my class every single quarter. So
That would, oh my
I
God, what
get
do they say?
anonymous. Well, usually everyone's like, "You're a
I love
gem.
you.
I
You're
love you. You're
amazing.
fantastic. You've helped me, inspired me." But every once in a while, I'll get like one. And what do we think I focus on? I focus on the one nasty one. Like
But usually they're like
I would
kind of
be like
woke
that.
bullshit. Remember you got something that you referred to your
oh, well, that was
partner as your husband and they got mad at
no,
you?
I was
He
speaking.
is your husband.
Oh,
Duh. I was speaking at an event in Singapore, and I'm not going to say what the group is, but it's a big organization for entrepreneurs. I can't
she
pronounce
can't say it.
I
She's
can't
like,
say that word.
it's entrepreneur, right?
Entrepreneur.
There
Entrepreneurs.
you go. There you
For
go.
people who start their own companies, young CEOs.
YPO, baby. No,
All
I'm just
right.
kidding.
That's what it is.
Oh, shit. You just find
Now
out.
I'm screwed. But anyway, I gave this whole presentation, and some guy came up to me and goes, "That was like the best presentation I ever had, except for one thing. And then you lost me." And I'm like, "Really? What was it? Tell me. I'm really curious." He goes, "Well, you refer to your partner as your husband." And I said, "He is my husband of 30 years, or was 28 at that time." And he's like, "We don't refer to our partners as husbands or wives." And I said, "But I do." I said, "I respect you, but I'm not part of your group." And I said, "And I'm sorry if I lost you with that, but that is how I refer to him." And that was just like, I was mind blowing, but I wasn't going to fight him. I didn't want to make him feel bad. I didn't
Well, he was trying to make you feel bad.
I thought it was a stupid comment, but you know what? I just felt sorry for him.
Yeah, and now those
Honestly,
are all the pro-Palestinian,
I know.
purple-haired motherfuckers.
I was about to say,
voting for
I know
Mondani.
YPO members who would absolutely expect you to call your husband your husband. So
See, that's why when someone says something like that, I'm like, you do you.
shame on him for making the organization look bad.
Right.
I just feel like
I just think you do
everyone,
you.
yeah, everyone
You do
should.
you.
That's the thing. Like, I am happy for everyone to be whatever and whoever they want to
Don't
be.
push it on me.
But it is weird how we've gotten to this place where certain things symbolize like moral goodness and other things symbolize racist ignoramus. And it never was like that.
I mean, there's
Never.
a meme that I saw. It was basically like the new generation cannot tell the difference between good and bad, but they know 20 fucking 5 genders.
That's interesting.
I mean, they like, that's what it is. They don't know. And that is the issue that we're having. Because I actually, one little last antidote. Antidote? Yeah.
Is it
right.
an antidote?
Oh, that's an antidote. One of the lessons I got from Ann Alley early.
Anecdote.
Anecdote.
An
Thank you.
antidote.
It took
It's
you a
an
little while to correct me.
An antidote.
An
I wasn't
antidote.
sure if I should, but I think
Why?
that
Of
happened
course you
several
had to.
episodes ago, and you were like, "Correct me."
Yeah, always correct me. Hello. Do I shy away from telling you what I really feel? No.
Never.
So correct me.
Never.
I'm not as smart as you. Okay. So
An
anyway,
SSRI is an antidote to our anxiety.
that's exactly right. Now my meds are wearing off. Where the fuck was I with this? Oh yeah. So then I had a friend who I introduced you to. We were in high school.
Oh my God, this is right. Yep.
And this was like, we were learning how to write emails. This is in 2005, right? So she writes an email back to my aunt, very colloquial, like she's a friend.
It's not quite that. Can I tell you?
Yeah, tell me, because
I'm not going to say her name, but she wanted to talk to one of my friends in TV.
right.
And I hooked her up with a dear friend of mine. I'm not going to say her name. Let's just call her Janet. Okay. And I followed up with Janet, and Janet was like, "You got to see this email your niece's friend wrote me." And it was colloquial, informal, privileged, kind of like, "I need this, I need that." And I was just, I was so
right.
embarrassed.
Yeah,
Because
horrified.
that's my reputation, that's my currency, and I recommended Caroline because Caroline would never do that.
No, she was like a hardworking, smart person who obviously was very full of herself.
Yeah, she doesn't know better. So I wrote her back. I said, "I just need to tell you that how you talked to my friend who has been at ABC now for 20 years was inappropriate and not professional at all. You didn't show any gratitude. You acted like she owed you something, and you didn't say please or thank you. And I said, and that's just not going to fly. And I said, and I recommended you. And I know I scared the crap out of her.
By the way,
That
you
was a great
probably
lesson.
saved her life and her future career because
I felt,
if
yeah.
No,
I mean,
no, that was a great lesson. She said,
hard feedback is a gift because if you don't get it, then next time it would have been for a job and she wouldn't have gotten the
Well,
job.
that's what I said to Caroline. I said, I know she's going to be really upset with me and scared of me. I said, but she will never forget what I told her. And next time she reaches out to anyone, she's going to make sure she's very polite and not presumptuous.
Yes.
And so, but now my brand is blunt but kind. Like, I really don't want to diminish or humiliate, but I will always tell you the truth. I'm not going to waste your time. And when I coach people, I say, look, this is what you do really well, but this concerns me, or this is going to block you because of this. Let me tell you how I can help you.
but see, this is my problem, right? What you did was perfectly normal, what people should do, right? When you know more. How did we get from there to being afraid of students of not bothering them on microaggressions, whether you say you describe someone as pretty and then they get upset. Like, how did we go from feeling like you had that seniority and that wisdom to put someone in their place to these younger people putting us in our place? What happened?
I don't know. There's a lot of like, I don't feel safe now, or I need to be safe in the
Oh,
classroom and all of that.
bullshit.
I cannot express my views at all, because I'm lecturing at Stanford. I
Right.
can't post anything. I can't like anything. And that's because it could endanger my job. I have to be very neutral, which is my least favorite word. But I do encourage people like to tell me how they feel because I'm not a judgmental person. What I say in reputation management is that a lot of the things that we would say or do because we thought it or we were ignorant of something, like no one would punish you for it in the old days, right? I say, but now we make it a cause celeb and we try to cancel someone if someone says something that they find mildly offensive. And what I said is instead of trying to divide everybody, try to make a bridge, like say, hey, I'm not sure if you know it, but that term is not a great term. Let me tell you why, right?
Well,
So like show grace and then use it as an education moment. But everybody
honestly,
just wants to rip you a new one.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think, unfortunately, it's even trickled down to our kids' schools where our children are too afraid to say something for fear of offending or being canceled or being labeled something. And so there are not those education opportunities. And then if a kid does do something wrong, they're, vilified versus somebody saying, this is a great learning opportunity, like why that's hurtful, what you've said. And so I love what you're saying. And I worked for 30 years and felt in the last, 5 years, coinciding with the whole woke cancel culture movement that if I, who clearly I'm not a, shrinking violet, was afraid to say things or censored myself in rooms, if I felt that way, I'm sure many others did too.
Yeah.
And so
It
one of
just keeps
it's
us all
so
back.
liberating now to, I mean, it's
October
scary
7th
too, but it's
liberated
very
us.
liberating to now feel like, you know what? I know I'm a good person. I know I have good intent. And yes, I'm not going to please everyone, but I'm going to put out those questions and those feelings for debate. And I'm open-minded. Like if you want to persuade me otherwise, like I'm in. But I just felt often very stifled and very afraid to speak my mind.
So do you have a strategy? I mean, is there a strategy that you have when you know you're going to say something that is unpopular or maybe trigger somebody? By the way, that word trigger triggers me.
Honestly,
By the
I
way,
enjoy
I
it.
needed you. You needed to be my coach because I literally, the last job I had was 4.5 years as a consultant at a company, great people, but just, a startup still run by the founders and like a lot of opportunity and a lot of frustration among the employees about like how fast and far both they were getting individually in their careers and as teams and as a company. And maybe it's because I was a consultant for 4.5 years, I think I ruffled feathers because I would say the uncomfortable thing or what I saw and I would name it, but I didn't have a strategy. And I often would say to my husband or my therapist, like, that's an area of development for me. Like I say it to be helpful and
That's what I
to
said. You put your
force the
hand in the mouth,
conversation,
foot
but
in the mouth.
then I I sometimes must do it in a way that doesn't engender like excitement to then have the conversation with me, but then just not to invite me the next time to
Sometimes you
speak.
just drop it like it's hot. You know, you light
So
the
yeah, that's a
fire.
learning opportunity for me. I need you. We're going to talk after because I need a
I
coach
like
in
the
that.
fire bombs.
You know, it's funny. I really like people like you. Like I really like
Thank you.
people
I
who
like
are
me too. I
like,
I
think
like
that
you too.
I think they could have learned so much more from me if they
They
had
are now.
listened. They didn't want to.
but you're challenging, you're threatening, you're female, you're powerful. Like all of these things go hand in hand, and you're probably right. And so, if you add that all together, it's always more about the other person than you because you don't look like you're someone who would purposely hurt somebody.
No.
But you're saying something because you're worried or you feel
I cared about the
you
people at the
cared about it.
company and I cared about the company. I wanted
Exactly.
them to succeed, but I just kept getting more marginalized because I think
People don't
I
like
was
powerful
saying the
people.
wrong
A lot of people do hide. They want to be neutral. They want to hide behind their phones and their computers. Mark, my husband's so funny because he's a New Jersey guy. And when he started working in California, like he'd get up and go to someone's desk to talk to them. They didn't like that. They just wanted to email him from the desk next to him.
right.
And he was like, nobody really wants to talk to me. I'm like, nobody wants to have
It's
conversations.
crazy.
So that they just troll people online. I've seen that.
Well,
We
we
post.
hide. Everybody hides behind I always talk about road rage. It's like a perfect analogy to what it's
Oh,
like.
you and I have the worst road rage.
We have the worst. But
Even if we almost kill somebody. Well, I remember I almost killed somebody. I was
The
driving.
theme of this episode is going to be about like driving and almost
Driving.
dying.
I know that. I almost literally killed somebody. And then I go, fuck you.
It's really not. It's like really not a good thing.
Sorry, go
but
back.
let's just say that you like hate someone in the car because they cut you off, right? But then what if you met that person? They were a parent at your school, or you met them at a coffee
Yes.
shop, and they'd be the nicest person. You talk and you get along. Because you're hiding behind your car, you can't really see them. They represent just all your pent up anger. So I'm going to tell you a funny story. So one of my clients was driving into San Francisco for a meeting, and they were late and they were flipping out, and this car kind of caught in front. So he honked, and this woman like honked back, and he gave her the finger. And she like gave him a dirty look, and he like raced to the appointment. He walks into the appointment. Who do you think's there?
Her.
That woman. And he calls me. He's like,
Ooh.
I need your help right now. Like, I don't know what to. I said, don't hide it. Like, go right up to her and
Be transparent.
say, I think we didn't meet on the best of terms. I am so sorry. I was rushing to get to this meeting. I was just freaking out and you cut me off and I shouldn't have done that. Can we start over? And the woman's like, oh, no problem, no problem. But did he make the deal? Nope. His
Yeah.
reputation at that point was ruined. But I just thought it's
Yes.
such an interesting example. Like in the moment, it feels really good to give into the rage and give the
Yes.
finger. But today, this is what I worry about Eva and Caroline. I'm like, people are angry and people are dangerous. And so that is always in my head. Like, is it worth that moment of glory for
Mm-hmm.
either someone really hurting me or
Yes.
endangering me or giving it back to me? Like, and so I don't want to say I'm repressed, but I'm much more cautious
Yes.
these days.
I mean, I agree. In New York City, like, trust me, I see a lot of people who I want to be like, motherfucker. You know what I mean? And
it feels really
I
good
keep it in.
to say your truth. Now, it's different from you saying your truth at work, but I will tell you what my go-to advice is. I am a big anticipator. And I do think, because I communicate for a living and I teach communication, I speak all over, I will think, how is my information going to land on this audience? So I teach.
I wish I had that skill. I do not.
But it's really helpful. There's something called audience, intent, and message. I teach this in my class. Who is your audience? You're going to talk differently to a group of children than you
Yep.
will to their teachers, to the board, or to people who you work with. And if someone is standing in your way of you getting what you want, it's on you to figure them out. It's not their job. So
Yes.
maybe you have to flatter them. Maybe you have to threaten them. Maybe you have to pay them. Maybe you have to negotiate with him. But you have the power. You just have to determine, how do I crack this nut? How do I move them? So when I'm speaking to a mixed crowd, I know that some of my information, maybe some people will be skeptical or bored or whatever. So I started out and say something like, I'm so happy to be here. I want to let you know that some of you might already know some of this. Some of you might completely disagree with me. But if you get two little nuggets that will benefit you, my job will be done. And then I will start, because I teach executive presence for women. Not every woman has issues with confidence, but I teach a big part about that. But I know that when one girl grows up as a tomboy and, it didn't grow up with like coloring in the lines and being pretty and dressed nicely, she's not going to like what I have to say. So I always anticipate.
Because you
And
say about how you
Yeah.
look.
And I front load ahead of time. It's once you start doing it, it's just more of like a an awareness.
I love
Should we
that.
be doing that?
I also think about it like expectations management. I mean,
Yeah.
because you've basically now set the expectation with the audience that if you walk away with 2 things, this was a successful talk.
Exactly.
And I feel like I think
a
about
low
that
bar.
in my
Very low.
personal, no, but I think about
Maybe
that in my
one.
personal relationships with my kids. Like I think so much about life is about,
If you have food and you have a place to sleep, I'm doing a good job.
right,
I was like, if you just live, like if you
That's-
can live
you
one more
survived
day.
today. Good job, Mom.
nobody ever was upset with you for under promising and over delivering.
That's what I tell my husband all the time. Don't tell me you're going to be home at 9 and then show up at midnight.
Exactly.
I don't.
Exactly.
Allison will be like, oh, it's okay.
Well, if you call me.
No, I know. But
So wait, before we end, I'm just curious, how are we doing? Like,
It's an interesting question. So there's 2 things I want to say. One, for your brand here for Mic'd Medicated, you're exactly who you should be. There are some things that you say, Caroline, that I would never say on air.
I know.
And I'm being really
me
honest.
too.
Well, you're a good foil to her.
Yes.
And it's good because you don't want 2 crazy loonies like Caroline on it. Like Caroline has no filter whatsoever.
Oh, by the way, we edit stuff, which is
I
even
know,
scarier.
which is even scarier.
I only edit
But-
when I think
Right.
it's going to be toxic.
But this is your brand. And if someone doesn't like it, they're not going to listen to it.
Right. We don't
So-
want you to listen
so,
if you don't like us.
You're not trying to be somebody other than yourself. So I cannot fault you for doing exactly what you're doing. And I applaud you for being genuinely who you are and not being afraid.
And I just want to thank you. This was amazing. I know you're my both. I'm so inspired by both of you because you're
Aw.
both seriously amazing women, badasses. And everything I'd want to be. I feel like I have my 2 soul sisters on my
Aw,
side.
I
But
feel
seriously,
this was
really.
so much fun. I
Right
love
back
both
at
of
ya.
you.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also always, you know what? It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And women, somebody, washing the dishes with 2 toddlers and feels like they're just not useful in society. You're raising the next generation. So don't make them care about microaggressions. And secondly, you have time,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
things will
Inevitable.
happen. Just don't worry. Just stay where you are. And you will have that moment to shine again in a different light.
I completely agree.
So,
I love that.
and
Should we,
I guess with that,
Cheers.
we're unfiltered and we're I was almost going to say uneducated. We're very educated here. We're unfiltered, unexperts, and definitely unafraid. Or at least one of us is. Mic drop.